Super fanboy guy. Hey everybody, this is Brandon, also known as Super Fanboy Guy on YouTube. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you the gameplay of the Versus System Bring Your Own Set Alter Ego tournament. In this round, I'm going to be playing against Matthew Rex, and this is actually going to be a Warbound mirror match deck. So it's going to be my Warbound deck against his Warbound deck. And as some of you know, I'm going to be playing the Venom Alter Ego. And Matthew is going to be playing the Hulk Alter Ego, which he starts at 75 endurance, and he has to choose one character, and only that character can attack for the turn. So we're going to go ahead and just get started with the video. So I don't know if there's anything else I need to add in the beginning, but I'll just kind of do my commentary as I have been doing in these in the previous videos that I did. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so this is my opening hand, and I decided to mulligan this hand because I didn't think it was good. And this is not very much better because I didn't draw any locations or plot twists. However, I did have a 2-drop character and a 3-drop character. I actually had 2 2-drop characters and 2 3-drop characters. So I'm forced to keep this hand. There's nothing that I can really do. So we go ahead and start the game. And fortunately, I do draw 2 Trouble with Dinosaurs, which is nice because I can put them in my resource row and not worry about putting any characters in my resource row. So if you think of it that way, these two, the first draw was pretty good. So I obviously put a Trouble with Dinosaurs in the resource row. And I also forgot to mention that I start the initiative in this game because I think I won the dice roll. Or no, I did win the dice roll, so I took the odd initiative. So I forgot to leave that part in there. But okay, so continuing. So Matthew is going to row his resource. And he plays his 1-drop Eli Coffee, I believe what her name is. It's the character that when she gets stunned, you can remove her and your Hulks get +1/+1. Okay, moving on. So we're going to go pass here, and he attacks me for 2. Or I'm going to pass, and he's going to hit me for 2 damage because obviously I had no characters. So after that, we go to our next turn, and I draw not the greatest draw here, an Archangel and a Hero M. Not really very good draws because I already have them in my hand, obviously. So, it is his initiative. So he plays his resource down. And fortunately for me, he does not have a 2-drop. So that is good for me. So obviously what I do here is I resource the other Trouble with Dinosaurs because that's the only plot twist that I have that I could put in there. So I decided to play Rick Jones because I wanted to try to get some early advantage, card advantage. And that way, if I played Meek instead, his 1-drop can attack him to Meek, no problem. So since Rick Jones does have a 3 defense, I thought it would be better to play him. So that's kind of why I did. So he thinks about what he should do here. And he decides to pass. I go ahead and activate Rick Jones for the rally effect. I do get my 4-drop Hulk, which is really fortunate. And this is going to be really good because I needed that 4-drop Hulk. Because now, since I have my 4-drop Hulk, I can curve out, in the turn 3, play the 3-cost character, and then go in the Hulk to turn 4. So that was a really good draw. So we go to recovery, and it's going to be my initiative. So draw 2. Very lucky to draw the Righteous Anger because I could put it in my resource row this turn, which is what I do. And then I decide to play Hero M, which is a very decent card to draw. Or not a decent card to play, excuse me. So I form like this because I didn't want him to attack my Rick Jones. So and I'm probably just gonna, I put him in the back row because I know I'm gonna rally for him, rally for it anyway. Okay, so he plays his resource row. And he also plays his hero rim, which is pretty good. So we go into combat. He picks hero rim as his one character that can attack this turn. And then I decide to rally with Rick Jones. And I do get a Hulk card. So this was good that I got the location because I can play to my resource row next turn, which is, because as you can see, I got a bunch of characters here. So drawing that location was pretty clutch, I would say. The only attack that I really have here is to attack his one drop with Hierim. So, yep, we're just calculating the damage, and it was 4 total. And he decides to remove Eli Coffee from the game for her effect. So you're just kind of moving it off the board just to show that she's removed from game. So he flips up Imperial Dreadnought. And originally when he flips it up, I think to myself, oh, he's probably going to stun Hirorim, activate the effect of the location to stun Hirorim, and remove him from the game to give his Hulk invulnerability. But I also forgot Imperial Dreadnought gave your Warbound characters flying, or flight. And he decides to attack Rick Jones for a little bit of damage here, which it's only 3 damage, which is not very much, but I guess every damage helps when you're playing a Warbound mirror match, so. So I take my damage for Rick Jones being stunned. We go ahead and go to recovery. I go ahead and draw my 2 cards. 2 character cards. Not very exciting here, but hopefully we can, do something with this hand. So, wish I would have drawn that Mastermind on turn 1, though. It would have been pretty helpful. Although I would not have had many whole characters to discard, so I guess it doesn't matter. But, okay, so it's his initiative. He plays his resource row. And he plays the Brood. And for some of you that don't know, Brood, when it becomes stunned, you may remove her from the game. If you do, characters you control name Hulk have whenever Hulk stuns a character, KO that character. So this card is really good in the mirror match because this allows him to potentially KO my own Hulks. So I didn't realize how much of a problematic card this was until I realized I kind of read the card and knew what it did. So definitely a big problematic card for me. So then it becomes my initiative. I obviously decide to row the Great Arena because it's the only card that I can row in my hand into my resource row effectively. So we go do that, and then I have my 4-drop Hulk that I play. I go ahead and put his Gamma counter on. And I decide to put Hirorim in the back row behind Hulk, which I don't know if that was right or not because, I mean, I guess it didn't matter because he has flight with Imperial Dreadnought. But I decided to play Great Arena, and I exhaust the Brood with Hulk. We both take 4 damage here. So now it's going to be his combat, and it's his initiative. He declares Hirorim as his only character that he can attack. And he declares an attack into Rick Jones, which now since he did that, it makes my setup a little bit better, I think. Now, I decided to bounce him back to my hand, and I don't really know what the point of me doing that was. Oh, wait, I think I do know. I think the point of him bouncing it back to my hand because I was hoping to, maybe make use of Hulk's Gamma counter if he underdropped on turn 5. And so what I should have done maybe is had him attack. I could have rallied for a card and then reinforced with my Hirorim, and I don't know, maybe that would have been the better play to do. But I did what I did, I thought was right. So, because I also thought that eventually I would probably have lost Rick Jones if he got stunned, and then he would have got KO'd. Like, I didn't want to have him be on the board too long against his Hulk deck, because I felt that if he got Hulk out, and started, walloping on Rick Jones, I could have been in trouble. So I think that's kind of why, after thinking about it, why I decided to bounce Rick Jones back to my hand. So he decides to declare an attack, hero him into hero him. And there's nothing I can do about that, so I declare it as legal. So I could tell by this attack that he has to have a trouble with dinosaurs at this point, because I don't know why he would attack it there. And actually, what he does have is he has a power up, so he can power up his hero to be +1/+1. And then, just for fun, I decide to power up too, just so we can pink off each other. Although, in retrospect, I probably should not have done that. I should have just stunned, removed hero him, and so my Hulk could have had invulnerability. So we go to recovery here, and I draw my next 2 cards. I unfortunately draw 2 character cards, so I'm going to have to play 1 character in my resource row this turn. So I decide to play Mastermind in my resource row, because when you don't have any plot twists or locations to put in your resource, though, I typically play the lowest cost character that I do, and in this case it was Mastermind. So turn 5 is my initiative. So I decide to do here is I play the 5-drop and I stun the Brood. And I don't know if I should have activated Great Arena first to exhaust, hero him so he couldn't attack. But since it was my initiative, I thought I would maybe try to get some damage in. After I stun the Brood Queen, he decides to remove it from game for the effect. So it's his initiative. He plays his resource face down. And he plays Warbound to the end, which means he's going to get his 5-drop Hulk most likely. He discards a 3-drop hold, the Hulk Exile card. So that's what I thought he got. So he got the 5-drop Hulk. And fortunately, he can't boost him. So he just goes ahead and plays him out. What I decide to do here is I activate Great Arena to exhaust my Hulk to exhaust this Hulk. I don't know if that was the right play or not, because I know I have 2 trouble with dinosaurs out. So I could have had my 5-drop Hulk attack his hero in, and then would have gotten stunned. And then I could have attacked my hero into his Hulk and played the trouble with dinosaurs. So that way I could have stunned 2 of his characters this turn. But this would have probably been a better play if it was not my initiative. And also, given the fact that he's at a higher endurance total than I am, since he's starting out with the Hulk alter ego, I don't know if this was the right play or not on my end, but I thought it was right at the time. So he declares hero him as a single attacker with the Hulk alter ego card, obviously. So I'm just kind of thinking about what I should do here. And I just decided to do nothing because there's no point in doing it, but I probably should have at least activated the trouble with dinosaurs. I should have just done it to deal some damage to him, but I thought that after I declared the attack, I was like, maybe I should save that trouble with dinosaurs for later in the game, so probably a stupid attack on my end, but oh well, it happens. So he declares hero him in the hero him. And he does the play that I should have done, which is play trouble with dinosaurs, so you get +8 attack, -1 attack for each character you control for a total of 6. So that was the play that I thought about doing, but I ended up not doing it. So after he gets stunned, I remove him from the game for his effect. So now all my Hulks have invulnerability. So we go to the next initiative. I draw my 2 cards, and I drew a Hulk Smash, which at least it's a card that I could play in my resource row. And I just also want to mention that in this entire tournament, I don't think I've drawn so many character cards in my hand before. It's just crazy how many characters I'm drawing in my hand at this point. I was just like, is this real right now? So it's going to be his initiative. He plays his resource. And of course, he has the 6-drop Hulk, which is the one with the boost effect. KO a Hulk you control, he gets that many counters, so he's going to get 5+1/+1 counters on him. So I play my Hulk face down. And this is pretty brutal right here. I realize at this point, I do not have my 6-drop at all. But I was just like, this is, ugh. So I had no other choice than to play Rick Jones and Meek, yeah. So I play the Great Arena to exhaust the hero him, but I guess what I could have done here is I could have rallied for Rick Jones, see what I have gotten, or to see what card I could have got, and then I should have played the other Rick Jones to maybe rally for another card, but I was just so distracted because I missed my 6-drop that I didn't even see that play, but now after looking at this recorded video, I realized that was probably the better play to do. So as we go in the combat, he declares Hulk as his only attacker. He attacks with his Hulk into my Hulk. He's a 1919, so I decide to reinforce right now because I don't want to take all that damage. And I take no damage because he does have invulnerability too. And with the Brood effect, that KOs my Hulk, unfortunately. So what he does actually is, with the trigger on the chain of Righteous Anger, he decides to activate his Imperial Dreadnought to stun him so that the Hulk has invulnerability. So he stuns the Hulk, and then he recovers and readies. So Hulk in the Rick Jones is 19 attack is not very friendly. So I decide to activate Rick Jones, and I do not get a Hulk card at all, which is unfortunate. Well, I think I have bigger problems than not hitting a Hulk card at this point. And also, just to recap, he's an 1818, but Eloise, or Elo, or whatever name you pronounce her, gives Hulk +1/+1 as well. So that's where the 19 total comes from. So I take 16 breakthrough, which is pretty brutal. At this point, I'm at 5, and then I'm at 5 at this point. So he decides to activate another Righteous Anger, but he can't because the first one says that the Hulk can't be targeted, so which means he can't be targeted by a second Righteous Anger. So he just forgot about that. So we go to recovery here. And I forgot that Rick Jones KOs with the Brood. So I was just reading it again. So his whole KO'd 2 of my characters this turn, and the greatest draw in the world could not do anything, so I decided to concede the game, show him what was in my resource row, and kind of show him some of the cards in my hand, but there was no way. I missed... Yeah, I was just showing him here all the characters that I drew all game, and the fact that I missed my 6 cost character and my 7 cost character was just not happening. So I conceded the first game to him. Okay, so now we're going into the second game. So this is my opening hand. It's another hand that I'm not fond of. And then drawing 4 plot twists and these 2 characters. Not looking too good right now. So I decided to take the second initiative to see if it makes a difference or not in this game. So he goes and plays his resource card in his resource row. He has no one-cost character this time. And I do not have any cards, one-cost characters. And so drawing Rick Jones was pretty good here. He came out right on time, so we go ahead and play Rick Jones. I passed priority to him. Well, I passed to his build phase, I should say. So he decides to bring out Meek. So I rally for a card. So I get... Alright, so I get Hero Him, which is really good. Because now I have played my 2. I have my 3. I have my 4. And I have my 5. So we're looking pretty good right now. So obviously he has Meek attack Rick Jones here. We both take our damage. He gets stunned for 2, and I get stunned for 3 total. Or I take 3 damage total. So he decides to remove Meek for Meek's effect. So we go to next turn. And I draw a Rick Jones and a Bloodsport. Not really great cards to draw here. In my opinion, anyway. But I do have Hero Him, so I'm looking pretty good right now. So he doesn't play his 3-cost character, but he does play a 2 and a 1. Which is, you know, if you're going to underdrop, I personally believe that turn 3 is probably the turn you should underdrop. So I guess he wanted to just get more characters out for... you know, whatever, you know, because he wanted to have more characters out on the field. So I play Warbound to the end of my resource row. And then I'm going to play Hero Him. And put Rick Jones in the support row. So now it is his attack first. He decides to activate Rick Jones to rally for a Hulk card, and he gets a Righteous Anger. And I decide to rally as well. And I miss. He declares LOE as his only attacker for the turn. And he decides to attack into Hero Him. And I'm trying to think what does he have to try to stun my Hero Him at this point. But then he passes. And I realized when he passed that he only wanted to get her stunned so he could obviously remove the character for her effect to give her Hulk's +1/+1. So Hero Him obviously attacks Rick Jones because I have nothing else better to do. So he takes his damage. We go to recovery here. So it's my initiative. We draw our 2 cards. And I draw a Hulk Smash and a 4-drop Hulk. Okay. So I play Hulk with the Gamma counter. And maybe, after thinking about it, maybe I should have put Rick Jones behind Hulk. And that's what I kind of do right here. So he decides to rally with Rick Jones, and he hits Depth of the Dream, which is not a Hulk card, so he is not successful with that. And on turn 4, he brings out Hero Him, so not looking too bad for me right now. So I decide to have Hero Him attack Rick Jones first. Attack is called legal, so I pass priority because I don't need to do anything. He passes as well. So he takes the damage there. And then my Hulk is going to attack his Hero Him. because there's nothing, again, there's nothing else better to do, so might as well do it, right? So I decided to rally for Rick Jones. And now, if somebody, whoever's watching this video, if you want to leave a comment in the comment section, I'm pretty sure if you rally with Rick Jones, the word Hulk is in the text. And I'm pretty sure I can get She-Hulk smashed, but we were kind of debating this a little bit. So we both agreed that I would get it into my hands, but I asked him if he knew what the ruling was. But so we both agreed to put it in my hand. But if I'm wrong about that, somebody please correct me in the comments. But not that it really would matter, because he's probably gonna have like one. He might have one Hulk like in the later games, which is only gonna do +2 attack anyway. But that's not the reason why I put it in the deck though. I put it in the deck thinking that I was gonna play a bunch of other decks that weren't Hulk, and I thought it would be better for those matchups. But anyway, we go to recovery, and I draw my 2 cards. Drawing Imperial Dreadnought is pretty good right here. So it's his initiative. He plays his resource row. So he goes ahead and rally. He gets the Great Arena. And then he decides to play his 5-drop Hulk. So I decide to put Imperial Dreadnought in my resource row. And then I decide to play my 5-drop Hulk, and then I decide to stun Rick Jones because there's no other target I can stun with his effect. And Hiram is going in the back row. So he declares an attack in the Hulk with his Hulk. And I forget at this point that his Hulk is a 11/11 because of the Eli coffee. So I decide to power up the Hulk. So I'm an 11/11 to try to stun him back. So he powers up his Hulk too. So his Hulk is going to be a total of 12/12. And there's no way that I'm going to discard that 8-drop Hulk, because I have a feeling that 8-drop Hulk is going to determine who wins this game. So I decide not to do it. So I say it's fine to do so. Now, maybe what I should have done is I should have rallied with Rick Jones to see if I got another Hulk that I could have used to power up, but I don't think that's what I did at this point. So before the damage happens, I decide to flip up Imperial Dreadnought. And then I activate that on my Hiram. So I'm going to stun him for 3, gain 3 endurance, and then he'll have invulnerability. So that way I just take 1 breakthrough instead of 1 + 5 stun damage, which is 6 total. So this is where he plays Righteous Anger. So he stuns Hulk to recover and ready him, but he has invulnerability. So instead of returning Rick Jones to my hand, I decide to rally here to try to get another card in my hand. And which I do, but it's a useless card. So I just decide to take the damage. What I could have done is I could have just activated Rick Jones and returned him in my hand. But I decided not to do that because for the, let's see, 11 minus 8. For 10 damage that I'm taking, I believe. Yeah, for 10 damage, I get to draw a card, and I'm losing Rick Jones anyway. So that's kind of why I felt like I did the play that I did, because I wanted to get another card in my hand. And even though Mastermind was not a great card to draw, I do have the potential, since I drew him from my deck, the cards that I draw from my draw phase could be better cards, if that kind of makes sense. So by drawing Mastermind, it gives me the potential to draw something better, because that's one more draw that's in my hand, and that's one more card I could draw from my deck during the draw phase, if that makes sense at all. So I get rid of Rick Jones, obviously, and then I get to keep my Hulk. So we draw our 2 cards, and I draw my 6-drop Hulk, which is not bad, not bad. I'll allow it. Alright, so I decide to play Uncertain Legacy in my resource row, and then my obvious play here is to play the 6-drop Hulk. Or he gets we'll get some counters on him. So he also brings his 6-drop Hulk, which is +1/+1 stronger than mine. So he activates the Great Arena. Well, he flips it up and then activates the Great Arena. So I'm thinking about this hard. I don't know if I want to use Righteous Anger or not yet. So that is kind of the move that I'm deciding to do. So what ends up happening is he ends up exhausting my Hulk, and we both take 6 damage in the grand scheme of things. Which is Great Arena is good when it's not your initiative. I obviously can't attack here. And then before the end of combat, what I decide to do here is I decide to activate my Imperial Dreadnought. And since my Hulk has invulnerability, I will not be taking the 6 damage. So I will be gaining 6 endurance instead. So I do this at the end of combat before the recovery phase. So we go to recovery, we go to his initiative, I draw 2 cards. Drawing Righteous Anger is not bad. So he plays his resource row. Or he plays a card in his resource row, excuse me. Now, I'm wondering if he's going to play his 7-drop Hulk or not. And he ends up playing the 7-drop Hulk. So then we go to my build. So I played the 7th card in my resource row. So I was thinking a little bit about here if I wanted to keep my 18/18 6-drop Hulk out on the field, or if I wanted to get the 7-drop Hulk instead. And I ended up flipping up Warbound to the end, discarding Mastermind to get the 7-drop Hulk. And I'm just kind of doing some thinking here because I don't know if I want to activate the Imperial Dreadnought on my 6-drop Hulk to gain 6 endurance or not. So I decided to do this. So I do that to gain 6 endurance. And the reason why I decided to do this now as opposed to waiting to stun my 7-drop Hulk to KO one of his resources is because I do end up having a... I think I got 2 Righteous Angers this game, if I remember correctly. So my idea was like, oh, if I needed to, I could just use a Righteous Anger to stun him, to KO one of his resources. So, but I don't know. Maybe I should have waited to use the Imperial Dreadnought on my 7-drop Hulk during the combat phase, but... So I decided to KO him. And again, maybe I should not have KO'd. Maybe I should have just kept the 6-drop out on the field since he was stronger than his 7-drop Hulk. So I didn't know really what to do yet. So what I kind of do here is I kind of lure him. And I say, hey, do you want to do anything before the build phase? Because I saw that he had his Great Arena. It was ready. So he took my bait and he decides to activate it. So we both take 7 endurance. So I'm in a really good spot now. And I don't know if he forgot that his Hulk was a higher attack and defense than mine. So I kind of lured him into activating his Great Arena, so it kind of worked it a little bit. So this is where I decided to do Righteous Anger. So I decided to do it now, and I don't remember why I decided to do it now. So with him getting sent, I decided to KO the Great Arena. So I declare an attack into his Hulk. So he's currently an 18-18 to my 17-17. So I have to power up once. Which, again, if somebody wants to correct me on the ruling, but I don't think powering up targets them. If my memory serves me correctly, but if I'm wrong, please leave it in the comments of this video. So we're both 18-18s. So this is really important because if we both get stunned here, yeah, I am losing a resource, but then he's losing another resource. So he'll be losing a total of 2 this turn. So fortunately for me, he does pass, so we both get stunned. And we both take no damage because we both have invulnerability. So he decides to KO my Imperial Dreadnought, and I decide to KO that resource right there. So in response, he flips up and activates Warbound to the end. So interesting that he decides to go for the 8-drop Hulk when he's down 2 resources, too. So we go to recovery. It's technically turn 8, and it's my initiative. So I draw a 6-drop Hulk and the Great Arena, which is very interesting. So obviously I play the Great Arena in my resource row. So I'm just doing some thinking in my head here. I'm thinking if I want to play the 6-drop Hulk and have him get 7 counters or not. So that's what's going through my head right now. So I decide to flip over the Great Arena to exhaust his Hulk. Yeah, I'm really thinking if I want to play the 6-drop or not. Because then he gets 7 +1/+1 counters, and he becomes a 20-20. It's a play that I would normally do, but I think, yeah, so I decided to make that play because I think making him a 20-20 is going to be really helpful for me this turn. Because since I have the Righteous Anger, I could go in with a couple of pumps and then play Righteous Anger and then attack him for the game this turn. So that's why I decided to do that. So he plays a resource row. So he passes, so I'm like, whew. So I'm feeling pretty good right about now. So the obvious attack here is to attack my 6-drop into a 7-drop. I play a Hulk Smash number 1. Then Hulk Smash number 2, which pushed me at +16. So I'm just wondering if I want to play anything else. Then I do the Trouble with Dinosaurs. So he said, we're calculating the damage here, and he says, oh, that's not enough to kill me. And I'm like, yep, that's 25 breakthrough. So he takes all the damage. He takes 23 breakthrough, and then he blows up my location with his effect. And then this is where I play the Righteous Anger. I get to deal 20 damage to him directly, so I win the second game, which means that we are going to a game 3. And also, I did forget to mention that round 4 was the final round to the cut the top 8. So if I won, I made it to the top 8 cut, and obviously if Matt won, he would make the top 8 cut. This is going to be probably one of the most important games that I played in this tournament, and I know I can't make any mistakes at all. I have to win this third game in order to go to the top 8. All right, so here we go. Game 3. I look at my hand for a moment, and I decide to take a mulligan. And I drew 4 character cards, which is not very good. So I'm a little worried here, but I also do have a mastermind to discard a 4-drop Hulk or a 5-drop Hulk to draw 2 cards. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm stuck with this hand, so let's rock and roll. So draw another 4-drop Hulk, which is good because I can ditch it to mastermind. And then I get a Hulk Smash. And he decides to have me take the odd initiative since he lost the last game. So I play my resource, and we got Mastermind. So it is his build now. He does not have a 1-drop this turn. So I activate Mastermind's effect to draw 2, and oh my goodness, I draw more Hulk cards, so more fodder for Mastermind, which is not bad. So fortunately, I draw Righteous Anger, a card that I could put in my resource row during my build phase. So he goes ahead and plays his resource. And I actually kind of jump ahead and play my resource. Yeah, I kind of made a mistake that I thought I was on the second initiative, but that's why you saw that little stumble with the resource rows there. So anyway, so now he does not have a 2-drop on his turn, so I'm feeling pretty good right here. I play my resource face down. I decide to discard the 4-drop Hulk to draw 2 more cards. And I draw a plot twist that I can put in my resource row, so that's good. Unfortunately, I did not draw my 2-drop, so I decide to recruit another Mastermind to make use of my resource points. Plus, I have more Hulk cards that I can discard, so this time I discard a 6-drop Hulk to draw 2 cards. And I drew a Hulk Smash, which is another... I'm guaranteed at least a bunch of plot twists in my resource row at least until turn 4. So that's good. That's all I got. So I didn't draw Hero at all this turn, but I could still play Angel as my 3-drop and then bounce him back at a later turn. So, and at this point, I don't really want to activate Mastermind's effect anymore because I have my 4-drop, I have my 5-drop, I have my 6-drop, and I have my 8-drop Hulks. So I don't really want to discard any of them. That'd be kind of a greedy play, in my opinion. So I decide not to do it, but then I recruit the Archangel this turn. And I believe Archangel is a 5/4 if I'm not mistaken. So at least if I need to, I can attack his Hero and do some damage. But also, if he does have it, then he gets to remove it. So his Hulk's have invulnerability, so it's not really ideal, but... So I decided to attack Archangel and the Hero just to do some damage to him. And I actually hit him 1 with Mastermind because I didn't want to activate him, so might as well deal some damage. So he decides to recover his Hero, probably because he wants another attacker. And then I draw another 6-drop Hulk, which is not bad. So at least I can activate Mastermind depending on what I do this turn. He plays his resource and plays Warbound to the end. He discards the Hulk Exile, the 3-drop Hulk card. And so he gets his 4-drop Hulk. So he passes his build phase, so now it's my turn. So I play Righteous Anger in the resource row. And then I obviously have my 4-drop Hulk, which is who I decide to recruit this turn. And give him his Gamma counter. and I decided to form something like that. So it is his combat first. And then right here, I just made a note to him that we didn't reset the endurance roll. He was supposed to be at 75 endurance at the start. So I just kind of pointed that out. So he's going to kind of readjust his endurance total here. So there we go. So he flips up Imperial Dreadnought. He activates it to stun his Hero Imp. So now his Hulks have invulnerability. So not looking too. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not great right now. I would have thought that instead he would have just flipped up the Dreadnought and have Hero Imp attack Archangel to try to stun him. But obviously, if he did that, I would have bounced back Archangel anyway, so it didn't really matter. So he decides to attack Hulk into my Hulk. So we're both the same. So he obviously has invulnerability, so I'm gonna stun him back, but he's gonna take no damage. So I decided to go ahead and activate Mastermind to draw some cards. I could have bounced them back to my hand, but I felt like drawing cards. And I'm gonna return Angel to my hand. And so what I could have done here is I could have returned Mastermind back to my hand, because I know that when his Hulk gets stunned, he can remove the counter to stun my Mastermind. So I'm going to be losing Mastermind this turn. But I think losing him this turn and kind of drawing 2 cards before he dies was probably beneficial. So that's why I decided to do that. So we're just calculating the damage here. So he removes the Gamma counter, the stun Mastermind. So Mastermind's going to hit the KO pile this turn. So I recover my Hulk. So we go to turn 5. I draw my 2 cards. So drawing Great Arena was pretty decent here. So I'm going to put that in my resource row. And then I play the 5-drop Hulk. The stun is 4, which is going to be for no damage because he has invulnerability. So it's his build. He plays his resource. So what he actually does here, and I allowed it, but he saw the play that he could stun his 4-drop Hulk and gain 400 endurance before I stun his Hulk. So I didn't really care at this point what he did. So I just let him have it. So he plays his 5-drop Hulk. So I declare my Hulk on his Hulk. I decide to attack his Hulk in the Hulk, but after thinking about it, I don't think that was the right play to do. I think I maybe should have activated Great Arena to exhaust, because that would have done damage. But then he plays Strongest One There Is, and for some of you that don't know what this does, to play stun a defending Hulk you control will cost X or more. KO target attacker will cost X. And I'm like, oh no. He stuns his defending Hulk, and I don't want a KO. I don't want my Hulk to get KO'd, so I have to play the Righteous Anger here in order to save my Hulk, because I thought that was I didn't want to lose him at all, so that's what I decided to do. And plus I can hit him for 10 directly. But he's only at 65 at this point, so I'm going to have to take a lot of work to kill him in this game, this very crucial game. So anyway, so we go to turn 6, we ready. And we draw our 2 cards. It's his initiative. So another 3 She-Hulk smashes against him. Not very good when all he has is a 1 Hulk out on the field. So out of all the games that I could have played against Matt and his Hulk deck to draw 3 She-Hulk smash, this was not the game to do that. Okay, so he plays his resource row on turn 6. And I'm expecting him to play his 6-drop Hulk here. I'm kind of biting my nails here, thinking about what he's going to do. But he plays his 4-drop Brood, which I'm still not out of the woods yet. But it is looking pretty good for me. I'm like, okay, he underdropped. I have my 6-drop Hulk. I'm ready to do this. And I'm getting excited to do it. So I play my Hulk. I get an 18-18 smasher. You know, the worst case scenario I could think that he does is he does some sort of team attacking to try to stun my 6-drop. And this is also pretty good because it all depends on what he does, because I do have the 2 She-Hulk smashes, which gives me +2 attack for each character he has. So She-Hulk smash is currently +4. But I have a feeling that he's going to decide to do a team attack this turn, unless he has like Hulk smash or other stuff like that. So after thinking about that, this is where I decide to, I'm thinking about just this turn activating Great Arena to exhaust his 5-drop Hulk or his Brood. And that's what I decide. Maybe it's better to do it now so he can't team attack into my 6-drop Hulk. So I decide to exhaust the 5-drop Hulk. Now there is an argument for me to exhaust his Brood, because if he had Righteous Anger at this point, you know, it could have nullified my exhaust effect, but fortunately he just let it go. So we both take 6 damage here. So he decides to play Imperial Dreadnought on his Hulk to pretty much gain 5 endurance. So it's his initiative, but he decides not to do anything this combat because there's no point in attacking with Brood. So it becomes my initiative. So I decide to discard 2 Archangels for Hulk. And the reason why I do that, because I am going to play Righteous Anger to try to deal damage to him. So that is 18, 24 damage, if I remember. Yeah, 24 attack going into the Brood. And the reason why I decided to do this move, because I wanted to try to get in as much damage as I could, because he was at 64 endurance. And so if I was going to get damage done this turn, this would be the turn to do it. So he decides to power up the Brood to take less damage, obviously. So he takes 20 damage total. So 20 damage this turn is pretty good. And he underdropped, which I was feeling really good about that as well. So he decides to remove the Brood for her effect. So yeah, turn 6 was, if I wasn't clear before, I don't know if I mistaken, this was his initiative, and we were going into my initiative next, because he took the Eve initiative. So my initiative, we draw our 2 cards, and I drew 2 Warbound to the ends here. So I play one of them in my resource row. So I could see that I have 2 Hulk Smash in my resource row, a Trouble with Dinosaurs in my hand, and 3 She-Hulk Smash, with another Trouble with Dinosaurs in my resource row. So I decide to play Warbound to the end to get the 7-drop Hulk, because I already have the 8-drop Hulk in my hand, and I figured if I could take him off resources this turn, then he won't be able to play his 8-drop Hulk against me. So he plays Imperial Dreadnought on his 5-drop Hulk to gain 5 endurance, essentially. And he underdrops again with the 6-drop Hulk. So this is a very important turn for me, because in my mind, what I'm thinking about at this point, I'm thinking, oh, I better kill him this turn, because, you know, if we get to the next turn, you know, he could maybe get his 8-drop Hulk out, and then I could be in trouble. What I did not take into consideration is that since his 6-drop Hulk was an 18-18, he could stun back my 7-drop, which I'll be able to KO his resource anyway, so that he won't be on turn 8. So as you see, I have my 7-drop Hulk attack into his Hulk. I go in with a Hulk Smash. with Trouble with Dinosaurs, with Hulk Smash, She-Hulk Smash, She-Hulk Smash, She-Hulk Smash, and Trouble with Dinosaurs. So I decided to go all in because I wanted to kill him this turn. So if I remember correctly, I think this is enough to, I think this is more than enough to kill him this turn, because you have the 2 Trouble with Dinosaurs, which is 14 attack, the 2 Hulk Smashes, which is 16 attack, and then plus 6 more, that's 6 on top of that. So that's 24, 24 plus 10 is 34, plus 7 is 41. So that's plus 41 attack. That is more than enough to kill him this turn. But unfortunately, he had the Righteous Anger, and me going in on this turn cost me the game. And this is the biggest punt that I think I've ever done in all my career playing versus system. What I should have done is this. Should have had a Hulk attack into the 6-drop Hulk. Just played enough to get him stunned. Whatever. Played 1 Trouble with Dinosaurs and 1 Hulk Smash, or 1 She-Hulk Smash. So for an example, let's say I just went in with 1 She-Hulk Smash, and I got plus 2 attack, putting me in a 19. That was enough to stun him back. So even if he had pumps to get his defense over to a certain amount, then I could have at least in response played another pump. My problem is I pretty much went all in when I should not have done that, because I was getting stunned back regardless. My Hulk would have been stunned. I would have KO'd one of his resources. Then we would have gone to turn 8. I could have played my 8-drop Hulk. He was down 1 resource point. There was no way he could have played his 8-drop Hulk. This move, me going all in, cost me the game, unfortunately. And after seeing that Righteous Anger, I realized that I made a really big mistake. I should have played around the Righteous Anger. So if you guys ever play in an online tournament, do not go all in unless you have to. Had I thought about this more clearly, I would not have done that. And I just made a big mistake, and I was just so upset about this. I threw the game away at this point. And so I have a 17-17 Hulk against his 18-18 Hulk. So with his Righteous Anger, it pretty much resets the attack without getting too much detail into the whole rulings. Now, what I should have done is I decided to pass to him, which is stupid. I should have just attacked and maybe pumped up to try to stun him. So that way he still loses a resource and he can't play his 8-drop Hulk. But I threw away this game. I was just so angry and frustrated with myself that I wasn't thinking. That I said, okay, let's just go to the next turn. And we go to recovery, and I draw my 2 cards, which pretty useless cards to draw right now. The game is over at this point because I just committed way too many resources and cards at this point. So unfortunately, it's going to be his initiative on turn 8. And of course, what card does he have on turn 8? The 8-drop Hulk. So it goes to my build. I decide to play a card in my resource row. And then I have my 8-drop Hulk. So I decide to exhaust this Hulk with my Hulk. Just because I don't know what else to do. So we both take 8. And I'm in a really bad spot here because I know he has the Imperial Dreadnought out. And he can activate it to stun his Hulk. And all I have is another Righteous Anger. And I can't play this game of, oh, I'm just going to exhaust this Hulk with my Great Arena each turn because I'm at 16 endurance and he's at 41. So I am going to die first before he does. And speaking of Righteous Anger, look what I drew there. Righteous Anger. But at this point, it doesn't even matter because I threw away this game. So he plays Warbound to the end. And he decides to get a Brood just as an extra attacker. And he rose his resource, because I think he forgot to do so. Brings out the brood. So he flips up his Great Arena to exhaust his Hulk. To exhaust my Hulk. He exhausts his Hulk to exhaust my Hulk. I'm at 8, and he's at 33. Not looking good here for me. And at this point, there's nothing I can do. I just concede at this point. But so for fun, I just activate Righteous Anger. So then he would play his Imperial Dreadnought. And in response, I play Righteous Anger. But it doesn't matter because I KO all of his characters, but I still take 8 endurance either way. So I'm dead. So unfortunately, I did make a very big play mistake in turn 7. I should have won this game, gone to the top 8. I may have lost the first match that I played in the top 8, but we're just kind of showing all of our cards here, and the game is pretty much over. But yeah, man, that misplay kicked me out of the tournament. But I learned a very important lesson. Never commit everything if you don't have to. In case if you guys haven't been on the Versus System Collective group on Facebook, Max actually won the whole event with his Hulk deck. So congratulations to you, Matt. You won the tournament. If you guys want to check out his games in the top 8, make sure to go to Aaron Mead's YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the description of this video so you guys can check that out. And also, if you guys want to leave any comments about what you thought about the game, obviously you don't need to say that, oh, I misplayed, because I know I did. And yeah, I could say that I obviously got really greedy that turn 7, but you know, you live and you learn, and the best thing I can do is try to do better next time. And I think that'll do it for this video, so thank you everybody for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe to the channel too, and that will about do it. So we will see you in the next video.